selecting a webinar platform. We'll talk about some different webinar platforms because there are, different types of webinars. So for live webinars, what do we want to think about? What do we recommend? What do we talk about? I'll tell you what I think. And I'm going to add one here too. Hold on a second here. I'm going to add Skype. And I'm going to add one more here. I'm going to add Yugma. Okay. One of the things I like about the mind maps is that, in the middle of a presentation, if something occurs to you, you can just make a change on the fly. You can't do that with a PowerPoint presentation very, very easily without going back, and that's a little bit more of a commotion. That's one of the reasons I like my mind mapping. So let's talk about live webinars here for a second, and what I recommend and what I think you should take a look at. I think GoToWebinar is really good right now. They certainly had their challenges for some years with technology. It was very, very spotty. It was really not very, very reliable for a long time. I was very disenchanted with them, but they really have come a long way. One of the nice things that they have going for them right now is it's called HD Faces, where you can actually have the picture of the presenter, not just a picture, but a live view with your webcam while you're presenting. I could have done that with this series here right now. The reason I didn't was because it just came out of beta. I've seen a couple of people use that in their webinars. They did not do it very successfully. The only real successful applications I've seen so far have been, in GoToWebinar training tutorials, and so I didn't want to take that chance. I will be doing it very shortly. As soon as the first round of these webinars is finished, I'm going to move my platform over to that. What happens is once you go from the platform as it exists now and you change to that, you can't go back. So because this is what I know and this is what I've done and I've got it down, I just didn't want to risk that. But GoToWebinar is great. They have lots of really, really good functionality. They've got all their bases covered, and I think that's a good one. WebEx does a terrific job. WebEx really is the gold standard of webinar technology. WebEx is great, but it's more expensive for the most part. So you pay a lot more. And it's great. I've presented on WebEx many times, and it's a good program. If you want to check that out, that's great. If you're going to be doing lots of webinars, definitely check it out. And talk to the reps who are answering the phone and cut a deal. There's a lot of negotiating that happens in webinars. Instant Teleseminar I like. It's a little more static than the others. You have to upload your PowerPoint, so you can't really work with animations and things, and it's uploaded to their platform, so you can't make any changes to anything once it's there. But it's really, really easy to work with once you've uploaded it. It's very easy to advance, and it's very, very easy to operate. I'm going to do a separate video here on a couple of the workarounds, but I think that's a very, very good service. A couple of good things that I like about it a lot are the fact that it creates a really great landing page, and it creates a recording of your webinar that's available immediately afterward, and that's pretty neat. So Instant Teleseminar, and the other thing is that it's a teleseminar service as well. Certainly, if you wanted to use GoToWebinar as a teleseminar service, you can also do that, and then of course you would be using the telephone number primarily, and that's the whole idea with teleconferences. Although you can also listen to it online. So if you don't want to be interacting, or you might even be interacting. The VoIP is okay for some people. I personally have no problem with VoIP. I have no problem with computers, working with the computer speakers and microphones versus the telephone. But again, if you're going to be doing this, you need to know as a presenter that a lot of people will have that problem. There's a new platform now called AnyMeeting at anymeeting.com. That's a free live webinar platform, and they do recording. I looked at it. I haven't used it yet. I've seen some people using it. It seems to have lots of really good features, lots of good functions, and I think it's definitely worth looking at. They have a paid version. The free version is supported by advertising. And if that's if you think that's all right, that's fine. I personally, I don't think that coming up with a webinar that has advertising for all kinds of products around it is really a good idea for a professional. I think it looks a little cheesy, to be honest with you, but people are using it, they're happy with it, and the paid version looks pretty neat. There's another company called Stealth. They started with Evergreen Webinars, and I haven't used this one yet. I don't think that they're as fully featured as some of the others, but I hear wonderful things about their customer service, and that's the reason I'm mentioning that here. I've heard people talk about it. People like Frank Kern, who is Mr. Big in the internet marketing community. Frank Kern is probably the single most brilliant internet marketer on planet Earth. And in a book I recently read about webinars by Lewis Howes, he talks about Stealth, and he's been using Stealth. So I think it's worth mentioning. I haven't used it myself, but I think you can take a look at that. Skype, again, for small groups. You definitely look at it. Skype is great. It does get squirrely. So, if you schedule a mastermind or you schedule some kind of a meeting webinar and it just doesn't work on Skype, everybody pretty much, goes with the flow because everybody has that experience. So, it's very forgiving. It's usually not your fault. It's usually something to do with the connection, and people know that. For that reason, you don't want to do anything too critical on Skype where you don't have a backup plan. There's a platform called Yugma that also is a live webinar platform. Yugma, I used to use that quite a bit. They also had a paid platform. They had paid and a fee platform. Quite interesting. You might want to go and check that out. Yugma also has a plugin for Skype, so you can use Yugma in conjunction with Skype to conduct your webinars. And I used to do quite a bit with them and like them a lot. There are some that have just come off the market and either been bought out by somebody or just not worth talking about.